Hey everyone, welcome to today's edition of One Single Story, where each weekday we offer a brief lesson from a section of today's reading, and then we examine a single relevant question that passage points us to. Today I'm joined by Chris Rexroad, and we are looking at a passage from Job 7. So beginning in verse 6, it says, "My days fly faster than a weaver's shuttle. They end without hope. O God, remember that my life is but a breath, and I will never again feel happiness. You see me now, but not for long. You will look for me, but I will be gone. Just as a cloud dissipates and vanishes, those who die will not come back. They are gone forever from their home, never to be seen again. I cannot keep from speaking. I must express my anguish. My bitter soul must complain. Am I a sea monster or a dragon that you must place me under guard? I think my bed will comfort me and sleep will ease my misery, but then you shatter me with dreams and terrify me with visions. I would rather be strangled, rather die than suffer like this. I hate my life and don't want to go on living. Oh, leave me alone for my few remaining days. What are people that you should make so much of us, and that you should think so of us so often? For you examine us every morning and test us every moment. Why won't you leave me alone, at least long enough for me to swallow? If I have sinned, what have I done to you, O watcher of all humanity? Why make me your target? Am I a burden to you? Why not just forgive my sin and take away my guilt? For soon I will lie down in the dust and die. When you look for me, I will be gone." So this is a long lament from Job. So it begins as a protest to his friends, but he's kind of prepared the way for a more direct address to God. And he doesn't ask for a gift. He's kind of far from adopting the approach recommended by his friends, but he doesn't really know what to ask for. That's what it seems. That's kind of the major part of his torment, because he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what to ask God for. Should I ask for repentance? Should I ask for you to leave me alone? And at one minute, he wants God to notice him. The next minute, he wants God to go away. And he makes this appeal, remember my life is but a breath. But then in another, that he's asking God, pay attention to me. And in another respect, he begins to say, God, leave me alone because you've become so terrifying. And in the midst of his replies, Job repeatedly turns from his friends and addresses himself to God. So he's talking directly to God about his situation. And it reflects this inner struggle that he's having, that he's disappointed by his earthly friends, and he's compelled to look again anew at his heavenly friend, God, who's his Redeemer. And he is essentially demanding of God, leave me alone. So the question I want to examine today is this: can we demand answers from God? And what should our approach to God be when we're in distress? So can we demand answers from God?
In short, my opinion, no. We can't demand them from them because God's in control. I think our approach to him, he understands our humanity, our pain and everything. But I think that we should always enter in with awe and respect to who he is, and knowing that he's fully capable of changing our situation. And if we're in that situation, unless we've put ourselves in that situation, he will help us out of that situation. You might be in it for a day, you might be in it for 5 years, but he's wanting you to stay faithful to him. Now, with Job here, I mean, you can't blame the guy with everything that took place, and we're able to look at the story and know that this is actually a demonstration of God proving his faithfulness and showing Satan that Job's not just in it because of what God gives him. And Job ends up proving that. But if you're looking at the story through Job's eyes, he doesn't know that's going on, and he's enduring this. So I give him, great applause for what he went through, because at this point here, he feels like his friends are horrible. God apparently doesn't like
horrible.
me anymore. It's
Yeah.
like, just leave me alone, you know?
So when you're in distress, what's an appropriate way to approach God? What's the right way?
Well, definitely with humility, um, and like I said, respectfully, but you can cry out to God your frustrations. You can cry out to God the pain that you're in. You can cry out to him your confusion, but realize who you're talking to and realize that he's capable of helping you, and he wants you to remain faithful in the situation, even if you've been in a long period of dire needs and stress, that he's still there providing for you.
What do you consider approach God with respect?
Well, don't walk into it blaming God. It's like, you know,
Why is that wrong? Why do you think that's wrong?
well, first, if you put yourself in a situation, you need to own it. If God is putting you in a situation like in this right here, he's never out to crush us. There might be something going on in the background. What we're going through might not have to do with us. It might have to do with something else. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think's a respectful way? Or
Yeah, so this is a very, very difficult question to answer because there's a couple of things I would say in that when you're in distress, you probably are not processing anything clearly.
Yeah.
You know, you people don't typically make 911 calls without emotion.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, if you listen to 911 calls, they're often frantic, they're hurt, they're angry, or they're frustrated. You know, there's a lot of reasons why that would take place. And I would say that the same is true when we're suffering distress or problems in our own life. It is hard to, at times, approach God calmly, what we call respectfully, you know. Um, but I don't think God's turned off by that. I don't think God is, I think he takes into account the situation that we find ourselves in
Yeah.
and understands uh, why we would be angry or frustrated or be expressing ourselves in a particular way. None of us probably rise to the level of Job, either in loss or righteousness. Okay, because
Right.
but he had both sides of the fence covered. Um, and God does rebuke him for consistently questioning
Mm-hmm.
him. Later, he does. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we got to go through a lot of stuff, but a lot of talking before God finally does. And that's the thing is at some point, I think you should, you may immediately, God, why, be angry, say things that you shouldn't, but there should come a point where you become self-aware and realize, okay, this isn't how I should respond. This isn't pleasing to God. God doesn't want me to respond this way. And then you change your tone. Job, that's kind of what happens here is Job, God corrects him because he
Mm-hmm.
just continues to, just lash out about why things are so bad. And I think that's a natural response. As to whether we can demand answers or not, I think we can do whatever we get ready to do. Whether we're going to get them or not is a different story.
Yeah.
Um, is it right to demand an answer? I don't know, because he does in a couple of spots say, God, answer me and answer me now. Why have you turned yourself away from me, kind of thing. So whether we can demand an answer or not, I would say we have to say, well, sure, we can. Is it the right approach? Most of the time, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
And do we have a right to get an answer is a different story. I don't think God's obligated to give us the answer in the
Mm-hmm.
moment that we think he should. That's the
I think
problem.
we see a lot of that in Psalms as well, where David's basically wanting justice and wanting, I guess, to be in a right position that he feels like he deserves to be in, or the people that are constantly chasing him around trying to kill him and
Right.
everything, that he pretty much is almost demanding, for God to fulfill justice in this. And it takes, what was he on the run, like 17 years?
Who? David? Yeah, a long time. And, I think that is, the longer something is protracted, the more it can affect our hearts.
Yeah.
In Job's, the reality of Job is this all happened in a day, not the recovery. So that's the thing. He does end up with double, but just so in case you're wondering, like, it wasn't a new creation. So if you got 4 kids, it takes a while to have 8, right?
Yeah.
And so the loss happened immediately. It was instantaneous. The recovery took years. It just, if you think about the kids, much less if he had twice as much of everything, how long it took to accumulate all of that. And I just think we have to be aware. I hear people accuse them compare themselves to Job from time to time. And more likely we're like his friends than we are like Job. That's the way I see it. Well, thank you for joining us today on this edition of One Single Story. We hope you'll be back tomorrow as we continue a conversation around this week's reading plan.